Alright guys, it's already the third week of September, so this August Velvet Gains video is coming out a little bit later than we usually put them out. Finally got back from Colorado and Idaho on mule deer hunts and got some cards pulled that we needed for this video, so spent end of August through the first part of September in Colorado for my buddy Jake Nelson's high country mule deer hunt, and then basically went straight from there to Carson's Idaho mule deer tag, and luckily he was successful out there, so we'll have some video and pictures of that to show you guys. But this video is going to look a little bit different. We're going to go through all of the camera sites like we usually do, and show you some of the younger bucks and then some of the bucks that we haven't for sure put on our hit list yet, and then kind of leave out most of the bigger bucks that are on the hit list. And then once we finish going through all those, then we're going to actually do a separate segment of it to finish it out, and that'll show our hit list up to now. I think today is like the 22nd or the 21st, so we'll show you the hard antler bucks we've got, and then obviously some of the bucks were in velvet the last time we had them, so we'll run through the hit list, a little bit of history behind those bucks, and then kind of our thoughts going into the season. Doesn't look like our whitetail season's really going to start until after October 1st, just because we've got some stuff going on, and cows in different pastures have some of our bucks messed up right now. So we'll run you through all this stuff, and this is the last video for the Velvet Gains series for 2021, and we're excited to hopefully do it again next year and check out this hit list. Hopefully we can get a couple of these bucks put on the ground this year. Starting here at the new 80-acre piece we got this spring. Got a camera right here on the fence post that we put up a week ago, I believe, and basically just checking to see what deer are crossing these trails between this fence right here and then this cedar tree that kind of come up out of this draw over here, come up the hump and then work their way down and then over to that hole where we have these better bucks that you're going to see is right down below that bean field. And that's been pretty slow for the last week, but this one caught a pretty good one, so we're going to leave it here. Down here at the creek cam right now, it's the second spot. We've had some good up-and-comers and 4.5-year-old bucks here, but no shooters yet. Camera's been pretty slow since we pulled the feeder, of course, so more of the same, young bucks, and on to the next. This spot here, we hung a couple cameras on this little pond last weekend, and they already moved cows in here, so that sucks. No idea if there will be any deer on these or when they moved the cows in here, but by the looks of the trails, they've been in here a bit, so hopefully, good buck. Onto the windmill bottom cam. This is the one that's had mostly 2-year-olds that I can tell. $129 pictures in a week, pretty slow. Check it out. First cam here in the bullpen we put up a couple weeks ago. Got a cell cam on the post that divides the two halves of the plot. That's the east side. 360's right there. They exit out of the plot right there to the big alfalfa field. And the east side over here. I might put a camera on this tree just because I think they jumped the fence by this little tree over here, and that's actually where C2 crossed right before I killed him last year. So we'll have one on the east side kind of catching everything that comes out of that grove, one here to see what comes out of the plot and maybe across the creek, and then another one right there in case these other cameras miss them, just try to pattern bog. So there's been cows out here in the southwest for the last few weeks, and we checked the cameras the last time there was bucks on them besides the cell cam over here on the arrowhead plot. So not gonna do any video at those two sites, but we'll show you what the cameras got up until the cows got put in. This first buck on the hit list is a buck that I named Prospect back in 2018, knowing he had good potential. This year he's 5.5 years old and finally on the list. Last March while shed hunting, Carson found his match set of sheds out here, so that really helps add to the story. As of right now, Prospect will be my main target for the season. The second buck is a buck I've known about for a couple years that I call Beams, and this year we changed that to Bog for Beams of Glory after he really blew up. Originally this was going to be Carson's main target, but he's been missing off the cameras for a few weeks now, so we're hoping he'll come back and didn't fall victim to EHD like some of the others in the area. This is a buck that I nicknamed Squiggly back in 2019 because all of his tines had a corkscrew look to him. He really packed on the inches this year, but usually he isn't around much, so we'll see how much we end up hunting him. This is a buck we call the 89, and he's obviously on our new 80-acre piece. The nice 8 that we nicknamed the 88 that you saw in an earlier slide is also out here. We have no history on this property, but gladly added this buck to the list. This is a cool buck that we call Alfalfa that's made a major home range switch from 2018, 2019, 2020, and now to where he is this year. This buck had lived all those previous years around the bullpen, which is 3 miles as the crow flies through a lot of steep terrain from where he is now on the same property as Prospect. This spring, while turkey hunting with Pat from Archery, Idaho, I found one of this buck's sheds in a canyon about a mile from here. Kind of odd for him to make such a big switch at this age, but also pretty cool to follow. This is a buck that I named Digger back in 2019 because he was always tearing up every scrape in the area. He hasn't grown much over the years and is 5 this year. We've also never had him on camera this early and don't know where he really lives until later in the fall, so we're interested to see how his patterns continue to change. This is another buck we've known about for a few years called Shorty. He's also 5 this year but isn't too special in the antlers still. He's what a lot of guys would call a bully buck. Big bodied and mature with weaker antlers for his age, and he really pushes a lot of the other bucks around. I got eyes on him once earlier this summer, and he looked pretty good, but we'll probably wait until we see him in person hard antler to make a decision. That's going to wrap up our hit list as of now, although we're sure we'll have a few more bucks come and go from here on out. Big thanks to you guys for following along with Velvet Gains. It's been real fun for us. Now let's get this season started.